Hello, everybody. It is our newest episode of Carolina Rides. Decided to do something a little bit different. We're not talking about a particular show or a particular car or anything like that, but I will tell you, if you have been to any of the, especially the larger local car shows or a regular Cars and Coffee for the Upstate or something like that, today's guest is somebody you have probably come across at one point or another. I'd like to welcome Scott Daigle from DaiglePhoto.com. Thanks for joining me today.
Hey, Dan, thanks for having me.
Well, let's start kind of at the beginning. What got you interested in particular, car photography?
Well, I was a member and an organizer of Jeep Rally, the Great American Jeep Rally in Somers, Connecticut, and we needed a photographer. So after the whole organizing thing, when the event happened, I just went into photographer mode. And being in the Jeep world, that got me into, that aspect of it and shooting cars and Jeeps at the time. Um, so yeah, it was just a natural progression into automotive photography from wedding photography, which I did up in Massachusetts.
Now, how long did you have an interest in, because you said you were working with the Jeeps, how long did you have an interest in either Jeeps or cars? I mean, how far back does that date?
Oh, well before high school. My first car was a Monte Carlo, a 1978 Monte Carlo, and I blew the engine before I even got my license. So, that got me into Toyotas, and I went to work. One of my first jobs was at a dealership, a Mazda, Isuzu, and Peugeot dealer in Massachusetts. And yeah, it just, it was just a natural thing. I loved the automotive world. I didn't stay in the industry. I eventually became a commercial driver. Um, I'm a Class A professional driver. So, I've just always been into the automotive thing and driving and being on the road. And, I'm a local driver. I don't do over the road. Um, and when we moved down here, I transferred with my company and got into the car scene here by going to Cars and Coffee and noticed all the photographers. And I'm like, well, I got to bring a camera. And that's what we did.
What have you noticed between here and the Northeast as differences in the car scene? Whether it's just the types of cars or whether it's the people and how, what they're looking for?
Well, the whole JDM thing isn't, I don't know about now, but when I left, it wasn't really a thing in Massachusetts. It was more classics and vintage and antique cars up there. And then coming down here, it was totally different. You go to Cars and Coffee, and it's there's a lot of JDM. It's split the exotics and everything, and you got a few classics. You go to the church shows here, or like the Rabbit Rod Run. It's probably going to be a lot more classics and vintage cars.
Now, and we've seen, in fact, a lot of people have always see when they go to shows, people hovering over the cars, they've got their cameras. Some are
Right.
professionals, some are people like me who are just like, hey, I kind of like that.
Sure.
What are some of the things, without giving away any trade secrets, what are some of the things that you kind of look for when it comes to setting shots, or are there any particular, for somebody who's like an amateur, kind of maybe a quick snippet, a quick trick to the trade?
Well, it's I don't shoot as you're naturally looking at a car. If you're standing there looking at the cars going by, I don't shoot from that angle. I've got to get low or high and shoot a different angle than you don't naturally see. With the cars coming in, I found that people go to my website. The people that buy the photos is when they can see themselves in the car. They love seeing themselves driving. That's my niche, I guess. There are other people that do it too, which is great. I don't think of it as competition. I'm not going to say it's no competition, because that would be, that would sound conceited. But it's everybody gets a different angle. Everybody has a different style, and it's just great. I love seeing all the other photographers' photos. There's some great ones, like you said. There's some amateurs. and that's great. I love to see there is a young man, Henry. He is, I think he's about 4 years old, maybe. His mother got him a little digital camera, and he goes around shooting cars. We see him at the shows, and he looks at the details. This kid's gonna be a Larry Chen someday. He just it's crazy, the details he looks for, and every time I see him, I'm encouraged. And it's also encouraging seeing all the other photographers. And at Cars and Coffee, there are a lot of people with cameras, and it's great. Love it.
Yeah, I'm running through some of the photos from this is one of the
Right,
albums on your Facebook page
right.
actually, and I believe this was from the
That's
most
Michelin.
recent Cars and
Yep.
Coffee at Michelin.
Mhm.
What I mean, how many of these shows do you generally attend a year?
I attend all the Cars and Coffee the Upstate, and at Bridgeway with a Beta Crave. I'm committed to going to all of those. I also do the other shows that John with Cars and Coffee puts on
Mhm.
at Bowen's Landing and with AutoWorks. Actually, both of them with AutoWorks at in Inman, the Cartoberfest. I go to those, and I've recently become pretty good friends with Joe Hanichewski. Hope I said that right.
Yeah, Haniszewski,
You're
yeah.
right, with Motorama. And with Motorama, I took the week off from my regular job and spent the week at the convention center, shooting people coming in as they're setting up, and before and after hours. That way I can shoot without interruption and without, a bunch of people running around. Um, and it's, that was the first time I've ever shot cars inside, um, at a show like that. So it was interesting. It was a learning experience for me. And I learned that I need to bring some lighting. Um, so that's what I'm gonna do this upcoming year. I'm looking forward to that show and all the rest of them.
Have you found with you mentioned the indoor show
Mhm.
and you said, okay, I need some lighting. Is that because sometimes depending on where the vehicle I imagine is in the building, that can really change how the lighting is. Of course,
Right,
outside it changes based on shadowing and whatnot.
right.
How difficult is that to just kind of get things to where your eye says, hey, that's it?
Well, it's not so much the composition of the photo. It's like you said, the lighting and the lighting in the convention center isn't quite the best. Um, but I just learned to work with it, and using different filters to try and compensate for the lack of natural lighting. Natural lighting is obviously the best. But it's I need some lighting, and I've acquired some, and that's the plan for the next Motorama next year.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that show too.
Oh
Having
yeah.
been to as many Cars and Coffee shows as you've been, obviously, I
Hmm.
mean, I've been scrolling through some of these photos. We've seen a little bit of everything from
Uh,
bikes to trucks to some of the everyday cars that we might see to a couple things that have certainly looked special.
right.
Is there any, I mean, what is your particular fascination? What is your particular love now? I mean, maybe that's like picking your favorite child to some
It
extent, but
is. It is.
yeah, is there anything that you've seen at some of the local shows that have that just make you go, wow?
I always love the patina vehicles. The older trucks, the 50s Chevys, GMCs, even the Fords. But if they're patinaed and are not shiny and are colorful, where parts of the truck is sanded down and you see different colors, which may lead to its life, different colors. It's been painted over the years. It tells a story, and it's but everything is great. I don't care if somebody comes in with a 1982 clapped out Honda Civic. It's their car. They love it. They want to show it. They want to talk about it, and it's great. It's great to see, and I'm gonna get a picture of them. I don't pick favorites. Sometimes I try to miss the people that look like they're like going to Bridgeway Station. Some of the people coming in are not going there for the show; they're going to work. I try to differentiate and not get them. Sometimes I could just get them. I think last time at Obey to Crave, I I got a repo truck coming in, and they left with the car, which was kind of funny. And I got the photo, and I'm surprised nobody mentioned anything about it, but it was definitely a repo.
What was the car they took worth taking a picture of?
Yeah, I don't. It was a newer car,
Okay.
an exotic. Well, not an
Oh,
exotic, a German car.
okay.
So, yeah,
And we'll leave it at that. The funny thing,
yeah.
I don't know if it's funny, but it was just interesting to me.
Mhm.
You mentioned your favorite cars, or it can be the ones with the patina, where it's the
Right.
life well lived.
Oh yeah.
Does that make a difference in how you shoot the picture? Because you know that those cars aren't going to be shiny, and shine isn't what you're going for. But there
Right.
may be newer cars where somebody's going to want a picture of that, and they really want, say, the orange paint to pop.
No, I don't. As the cars are coming into Cars and Coffee, it's quick, and it's I got to keep going and going. I really don't. Sometimes people I know come in, and I don't even see them because I'm just taking a photo and looking towards the next one. And if they come in, some people are gonna laugh. I'm always talking about shut your lights off because people come in with the lights blaring, the headlights, and it messes up the photo. And it's not messing me up; it's
Mhm.
messing up their photo. You get like that one, you get a little bit of glare. Um, y-
But how does that work, for example, indoors? Because I remember at Motorama last year, I
right.
mean, you had the full run of everything. There were some things
Mhm.
that were just completely glorious in the way their paint was presented.
Yeah,
And then you had the patina cars. And there you actually have some control where you're not dealing
sure.
with their driving in.
Mhm.
Do you do anything differently?
Not really. Maybe just turn that circular polarizer a little bit and get a different glare off of it. Sometimes you make the glare work. Sometimes, when you're shooting in that situation, you have more time to compose the photo. Um, yeah, you just work with the lights and or reflections. Sometimes you're going for a reflection of a car next to a car. It's just whatever I see and the way it comes in. I don't. I've been doing it so long. There's not a lot of thought that I put into it really. It's what I see, and I go for details. I'm looking for details on the cars. I don't want to just go around and get a full picture of every car. There may be a
Mhm.
detail, an Easter egg on that car that not if you're just walking by, you're not going to see. So that's what I look for.
Do you find that's actually a plumbing vehicle? Was that one of those that just happened to be passing
I
through,
don't
or was
know.
that
He
there
was
is a
coming to the
Union Jack
show.
on this side, so I don't know. Who knows what that is? But
We've seen some people come in with vans like that. I think they're just looking to get their name out there, and they park the truck and walk around.
do you find any challenges in setting up, for example, at a Cars and Coffee where you're waiting for the cars to come in or they are coming in, where you've got, or there are a couple spots you may want to be in
Mhm.
depending on the lighting, where one day you may be like here and the other day you may be farther up or farther back, just
Sure.
depending on things. How does that process work?
Well, it's definitely has something to do with the time of the year. Obviously the sun rises and sets different times all year long. So it's shooting at Michelin like we're looking at here. The sun is coming up right behind that car, and right to the east of the car. So you start to get a little bit of glare depending on the time of day. Um, I've got to adjust my height depending on if I'm shooting kind of in the dark. At Michelin, there's lights right there, but they go off at a certain time and they go off way too early. If we could have somebody at Michelin adjust that a little bit, that'd be great. Um, it it's just all about the lighting. If I need to move, I do move. In the afternoon when I'm shooting people coming out at Michelin, I reverse and go to the other side. So I got the Emerald Palace in the background with all the people looking at the cars. I try to not get too many people in the shots, but sometimes it's cool when there are people lining and everybody's looking at the car and taking photos, and that's all cool.
All right, we're going to take a short break. And when we come back, we're going to talk more with Scott about, well, obviously, he's not completely doing this for his own health. He would love for you to buy some of these pictures. You can go at where we'll talk a little bit about that and some of what he can do for you coming up in just a moment. Stay with Carolina Rides. Welcome back to Carolina Rides once again with Scott Daigle, DaiglePhoto.com. Again, you probably have seen him many times if you've been to some of our bigger car events, and you will see him for some time to come, I'm
Absolutely.
sure. Let's talk a little bit about you taking these pictures. Obviously, you put them out there.
Mhm.
What has the response been, and how do people get involved in saying, hey, there's that picture, it's me driving my car, I
Right.
want to get that?
Mhm. So they just go to my website, daiglephoto.com, and you can look up albums from the last 3 or 4 years since I've started doing it here. They're all on there. Find that album, find your photo, and click the little shopping cart. You can buy the file, you can buy prints. I definitely recommend buying the file. It's cheaper than the prints through me. You can get prints anywhere,
Mhm.
especially if you want to do a canvas or something. Don't get it from me. Just buy the file. Buying the file, I re-edit the photo. I touch it up. If there's something, if there's something somebody wants changed, let me know. If if you got a bunch of bugs all over the windshield, I can remove them. Just let me know. I tend to remove any blemishes like that anyway. But if there's somebody in the background or something in the background you want changed, I don't use AI as far as changing photos. The only part of AI I use is for noise reduction. When you're shooting in the dark sometimes, or the lighting isn't perfect, the photos might get a little noisy. And with the cameras now, I always shoot with Canon. They're great with the noise or lack of noise. And with Adobe now in Photoshop, the uh, the noise reduction is just stellar. So it's just, yeah, that's the process. Go to the website, buy the photo, and I'll remove the watermark.
To take in the photography business to get to the point where it becomes second nature, to where you want it to look like this, or the camera's got to be set this way or that way?
Yeah, that's a good question. I started this in high school. Actually, it was before that. My mother had brought me to New York City, and we went to B&H Photo. I don't know. I think we were just walking by, and we went in, and I'm like, look at all the cameras and everything. It looked like a news station. And I kind of fell in love with that. And she bought me a little 110 camera, and she wasn't too happy about how much film costs, but we got through it. And I started doing chores around the house to buy film, and it just progressed. When I got into high school for 4 years. I took photography and graphic arts class and learned on film, and darkroom stuff, and it progressed from there. I did a little shooting for the school newspaper in high school, and it just progressed from there. Probably 15, no, I guess about 20 years ago, I started doing weddings up north, and I was doing two, sometimes three weddings in one weekend, and it was like all summer long, and then especially in the fall. The fall, forget it. I didn't have a life. Um, and when we moved down here, I didn't want to do weddings anymore, but I still have cameras and still wanted to do it. So my neighbor Alan Collins, he's about 80 years old, and great guy, and he worked in Detroit. He was in the automotive business, worked for Jackson Motorsports, and he started going to the shows with me, and I love having him there because he knows everything about every car. Um, and he comes with me sometimes. My wife comes with me, and yeah, it's just, I don't know.
Do you find that between then and now, obviously you've got people who love the digital
Mhm.
age and you've got people who love the old way of doing it, something
Sure.
more analog
Yeah,
to it.
it's coming back.
Yeah, do you find any pluses to maybe using film? Do all digital now, or are there occasions that you may say, hey, I want to use film for something?
I still have my original Canon from high school. It still works. I've actually got a few of them now, but I still have that one original one, and I don't use it. It's if I bought the film for it, and I'd have to put it online, and
Mhm.
it is, unless I'm just printing it for myself. But I haven't used it since digital come out, and I never look back. It's coming. film cameras are coming back. A lot of guys are carrying around an extra camera now that's film and taking, certain shots. And the problem is the quality still isn't there. It's just not there with film. So digital it is.
Why do you think people are, or is it just nostalgia? Why they be bringing the film back
I
then?
think it's nostalgia. It's like
Okay.
having an album, I mean, there is some other benefits to spinning vinyl,
Mhm.
um, as far as music goes, but it's the nostalgia and getting back to it. If I could set up a dark room in my house, that would be a different story. Because that would be interesting and that would be wild. I'd love to do that. That would get me back into it. But just shooting it and turning it digital so I could put it online, I don't see a benefit.
Now, we've mentioned talking about going to all these different shows and
Mhm.
getting pictures. Do you do anything where if somebody said, "Hey, Scott, I want you to shoot my car for," whether it's, who knows, maybe they're getting ready for or wanting to get something published in a magazine, or
Right.
maybe, and a big thing too that I read a lot about is when people sell one of their
Sure.
cars, they want it to look great because you want it to take
Right.
it, you want all these pictures from these
Mhm.
different angles. Is that something you do?
I will do it. Sure. I have done it. I was just asked to do a drag car, and we're gonna set that up and do that. Um, but yeah, I'll do that. I only do it on the weekends. I work, 60 hours a week, Monday through Friday, so I really can't do it during the week. So I have to do it on the weekends, and a lot of times the weekends, especially coming this fall, um, the weekends are all booked with shows, so
Hmm.
it's tough to do. I'm not looking to be busy. There are plenty of people, plenty of other photographers that do a great job, and some of them are trying to make a full-time go of it. I'll defer to them. I'll send them the work, um, just because I don't have a lot of time to do it anymore. Um,
If you
yeah.
have some suggestions for somebody who may want to be a DIYer in that
Mhm.
particular case, about, okay, well, in order to make it look good, and you've got a car and it's in your driveway or parked in front of your house, or
Yeah.
maybe you've been able to drag it to a parking lot or something where you've got sunshine to
Mhm.
work with. Do you have any tips when it comes to, hey, this is what you should or shouldn't do?
Yeah, golden hour. Don't do it full
Hmm.
sun. Early morning, late afternoon, get a little bit of that color from the sun in those hours. Um, Definitely don't do it at noontime, between noon and 3. Um, it's always have the sun behind you, which is just a common photography thing. Um, Yeah, I don't know, but I do enjoy seeing. I always see tons of my photos on Facebook Marketplace with cars, with my name on it, which is fine. It's great. You can share my photos. That's great. But a lot of people use my photos on Facebook Marketplace. I see cars on there all the time. It's great.
What as we go and think about some of the shows that you've done,
Hmm.
whether it's locally or whether even it was before here, and you were
Right.
taking pictures
Right.
of cars, are there any moments where there was a particular car or a particular person with a car that just kind of really stand out as either that was fun, that was fantastic, or this is what it's all about?
Yeah, I don't know. I love getting people with cars in a I'm a journalistic photographer, so I try not to do pose stuff with people. It's always going to be a candid shot,
Mhm.
and which is the same with getting people into cars, coming into Cars and Coffee. Um, a lot of them don't even see me there, so they don't even know their photos being taken. Um, but and now a lot of them are expecting me to be there, and they asking, "Where am I going to be?" I'm always in the same spot, pretty much. Um, but no, if I can get a cool shot, I love getting the kids at the car shows. With the on their shot on their father's shoulder, or um, the father's pointing stuff out and teaching the kid about the car, getting that next generation interested in cars. That if I see that, I get it. I try to get it, and that's a great shot. And yeah.
Whether it's something you've seen at a Cars and Coffee, or just any local show or a show anywhere else,
Mhm.
obviously you've got an interest in cars. Is there something that if you could get a dream ride of your own that you don't have to lug photog equipment around in, what would it be?
Oh, I don't know. We've got a couple of toys. My wife's got a Jeep LJ. I've got a Miata. Um, I've got a 2012 Miata that, we love taking up into the mountains. It's just a fun, it's just a fun car. Smiles per miles, as they say. Um,
I actually have a 2010 Miata.
really?
So
I had one. I had a 2010 before this one.
we've
Yeah,
got a club going
yeah,
now.
yeah. Um, yeah, I'm in the Foothills Miata Club. I don't get out with them too much, but I'm with them. And yeah, it's as far as dream cars go, I don't know. I've always had the Mazdas because I started working at
Mhm.
Mazda, and I was working there when the first Miata hit the showroom. Um, and at that time I had an RX-7. Um, as far as dream cars, I don't know. The exotics are cool. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe an old truck. I mean, I have an Apache
Okay.
tattoo, so I think it's going to be an old GMC or Chevy pickup truck, patinaed, and maybe something I could put my name on the wooden bed rails. That would be cool.
Shifting gears slightly, do you have anything that you missed that you had at one point that you're kind of like, I still wish I could go back and take that now?
Yeah, before now, I mean, when I was a kid and growing up, I'd get a new car every 6 months or so. I mean, I was just constantly trading, selling, and what's funny is my son does the same thing now. He can't keep a car longer than a year. Um, I had a 75 L82 Corvette. My son has been trying to find it because I sold it when he was born. Um, so, if I could ever get that car back, that'd be great. Um, but yeah, I love the Corvettes too, the older ones.
Mhm.
But I think an old truck, an old Chevy pickup.
Okay, we're going to direct people, pop up your website here,
Cool.
daiglephoto.com. If
Mhm.
anybody is interested in pictures or getting a hold of you for something, this is a good place to go.
Absolutely. All my contact information is right there.
And you've got your about you, you've got all sorts of information.
Mhm.
You've also got some links to some of the different, like right here, public galleries where you can see some of the shows. If
Yep.
anybody's interested in seeing, oh, hey, there's my car, they can
Mhm.
contact you through that as well.
Yeah, that's it. It's all right there. Ready to
Okay,
go.
awesome. We are out of time. Once again, thanks to Scott Daigle for coming out and visiting us here on Carolina Rides today.
Thank you.
And hope to see you at the shows down the road. And keep in mind, anytime you see him or any other photographers, say hi. They're out there having fun too, just like the rest of us. Thanks for joining me on Carolina Rides, everybody. And until next time, drive safely. Take care.